All right. Um, About to start. Let me kick in the intro and I will begin. Welcome to the Brother Speak podcast. This is your host, Brother Speak. If this is your first time listening, thank you. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share. Um, so I like to give a shout out to BMT, Business Minded Talk. Um, he gave me a shout out when I was on the panel with him earlier. He was trying to protect my image because I said some things on there. He like TMI, TMI. I'm like, bro. I'm like, look, I'm not carrying. Let me just say this before I begin. I'm not trying to date anybody off of YouTube. I know that goes on. I get it. I know it's a platform where everybody comes in. There's a lot of different personalities, and it's gonna happen. Dudes are gonna hit women in their DMs. Women are gonna hit these dudes up in their DMs. I'm not here for that. I'm not a thirsty person. I am not looking at women on YouTube as a potential dating or sexual partner. So when I said on that panel, I don't really care if they want me or not. Doesn't diminish what I say. My reputation, I don't care about it too much. I mean, y'all seen how I look like, so it's not really a big deal for me to say the stuff I say and worry about repercussions. As long as I'm not saying anything like egregious, like one that hurt somebody or kill somebody or something like that. I'm not worried about, you know, my reputation on YouTube. I mean, it is what it is. You either like me or you don't. It's all it is. So that's why it's so free. I can speak honestly about the stuff I speak about. So, but I appreciate BMT trying to protect me, trying to protect my image. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not worried. Look, I've had wrenches taken away. I've been kicked out of people's panels. Um, it's fine with me. We don't have to agree. But the thing of it is, I'm always respectful. That's how I can go on different panels, ones that like vehemently opposed to my views, and I don't have to worry about you know people not liking me or stuff like that. I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna say what I say. If I have something wrong, I'll say, okay, maybe I'm wrong. But if it's something I stand by, I'm gonna stand by it, regardless. So that's just the way it is. So I wanted to talk about women lie on the job. Now, in the description, this was inspired by the breakdown of the woman's perspective. And shouts out to them, Sister George. and Concrete Rose, they had this interesting topic talking about this Me Too has destroyed women's credibility. Hey, D. Darrell, how you doing? So, so when I listened to it and I was remembering something that happened. There was some uh, incidents at my own job where you had women who went and said that this guy did this, and turned out the woman was lying and just using it as a tool to punish the man for whatever reason. Now, one of the things I remember um, intently was there was a woman at my job a while ago. This was back in 2008. What had happened was we was at like, I work at a prison, so this was after with Hurricane Ike hit Houston, and the Houston area, and the spot where we let people into the prison, it was dark because the lights were out. So there was an area right in the front where you really couldn't see anything. So what happened one day, well, one night, because I was working third shift. The lady that was working at the spot, she had asked me, hey, can you come and relieve me, take over for me, so I can go get some sleep. So she didn't want to get caught sleeping. And you know me, I'm like, I'm a nice person. I'm like, okay, no problem. So I switched out with her. She went and sat in this room. It's dark. You really couldn't see anything. So she went in there and she went to sleep. My supervisor come around. Let's call him Mr. Johnson. Okay. Mr. Johnson comes up and he like, hey, where's Susan at? Yeah, I'm just using names here. Where's Susan at? Well, she up there. She needed to take a break, so I was giving her a break. So he goes into that room. Now, I don't know what happened. I didn't see what happened. All I heard was, what are you doing? That was pretty much it. So, he left. We switched back. Now, I think it was like maybe a week later, she had asked me about, being a witness for her. So, I was like, I don't have, well, I had no problem, but I was just letting her know that, I really didn't see anything. So we did, so, wrote the statement for, probably shouldn't have got involved, but at the time, I'm a nice person, nice people with women, that's just how I am. Maybe like a couple weeks later, maybe a month later, after that, I come into work. One of my supervisors, he's like, hey, bro, speak. You need to go into this room in the back, and there's some people who want to talk to you. And I'm like, oh shit, what happened? Did an inmate get into a fight? And they want to ask me what happened. Maybe somebody committed suicide or something. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the hell did I do. So I go in the back, and it's like it's where the supervisor office was. It's like in the back of a room. Now this lady come, she's sitting there. She is like, well, yeah, come in. So I come in. She's like, well, such and such. Well, Susan said that Mr. Johnson had touched her inappropriately, and she said that you saw it. So what do you have to say about it? And I'm looking at, I'm telling the lady, I said, well, ma'am, like I told her, I said, well, I know that Mr. Johnson went in that room, but it was dark. I really couldn't see anything. So I don't know what was going on. I don't know what happened. So, I mean, I don't know what I can tell you that I couldn't see anything. So, as far as I could concerned, I don't know what happened. So we went the whole thing. It was like a if anybody's seen the first 48, how they're interviewing potential suspects, that's what I felt like. I felt like something like that. It was insane. And so I in so after about five, maybe I think about 5 minutes. It wasn't real long, but it felt long. I come out. Here's Mr. Johnson walking right out. So they was questioning him too. He looking at me like, I can't believe you. And I'm like, this is what I get for trying to help. So ended up nothing happened to him. So she herself ended up being fired. And I had to see that, come to find out she was playing games with him too. So they both was doing that whole playing relationship type thing, which I'm like, I never understood why you want to date somebody on the job. I mean, well, let me back up a bit. Um, when I first started, I thought about dating people on the job too. But man, I used to stay with this roommate at the job, and him and his buddies, they were talking about what these women were doing. They were sleeping with inmates, supervisors, cheating on their husband. I was like, I would never touch any of these women at my job ever, ever, never, never would do it. So, like I said, so I understand why people do it, but for me, it's like there's too much stuff going on. These women can go and tell these people anything, and your head gonna be on the chopping block. So Mr. Johnson ended up like he didn't get fired then, but they were looking real closely, and she ended up getting fired. And I think part of it was because of that whole incident. Turned out she was lying. So, uh, so that's one of those things where I kind of got leery about believing women as far as these guys are touching them and doing stuff like that, because it's like, there's other stuff that's going on. Now, another incident about women lying on the job. Uh, Now this had nothing to do with a sexual relationship. This was just like an argument that happened. So I was on my job. I was bringing paperwork to one of the female officers over there in the prison. So no, I take that back. I was picking up paperwork, and she had she was on at the top of the stairs of the dorm, and I was at the bottom. Yeah, I need your paperwork. So instead of just coming down and bringing me the paperwork, she threw it downstairs. And one of the guys was like, "That's just disrespectful. Why would you do stuff like that?" So they end up getting into an argument right there, just arguing back and forth. And It was so much that even the supervisor came down there. Just when I'm about to leave, end my shift, the female supervisor came and talked to me. Oh, we need you to give a statement. I said, a statement for what? Well, uh, the lady had said that the guy that she was arguing with, he had hit her. And we wanted to know what you knew about that. So I had to take 30 minutes out of my time to write a statement saying, look, I heard them arguing. I saw them argue. He never hit her. This chick went and told these people that he hit her over an argument. Yeah. Over an argument, she went and told these people that he hit her, and he never hit her. It's sad. Trying to get this guy fired over an argument, over her being disrespectful and throwing stuff down the stairs. She felt some type of way. She wanted to basically get this guy fired. Because listen, domestic violence as a correctional officer, if you commit domestic violence, you charged with that, your job's gone. It's gone. There is no coming back. It don't matter if it's a misdemeanor or felony. Your job is gone. Because one of the things of a correctional officer is that you have to be able to hold a weapon. Because we outside in the towers, we have to make sure these guys don't jump off the fence. We have to be able to shoot them. But one of the things is, if you have a domestic violence case, especially in Texas, you cannot hold a weapon. You can't be in a possession of a weapon. So she was literally could have got him fired and got him charged. So when we talk about women credibility, yeah, that's a problem, man. And one last story, and this was very sad. It was very sad, and the sad part is I knew both of these people involved, and when I found out for what happened after the fact, it made me be very weary of women going to complain about men at the job. So what happened? Let's say this lady name was Cindy. So Cindy and Jack, the guy, I'm not gonna put their real names, they were in a relationship. It's an open relationship. She 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 was having sex with other dudes. He was having sex with other women. She ends up getting pregnant. So she tells him, and he's like, "Well, I don't know if that's my kid. You sleep with other men. Hell, she was sleeping with other men on the job. There was another guy that that I knew. They were going. If she called in, he called in. You already knew what was going to happen. So Cindy and Jack, he told her, look, I'm not taking care of the baby till I find out who is that to a DNA test. She got so mad she filed sexual harassment charges against him, that he was harassing her, stalking her. He nearly lost his job. He had They couldn't have him on the job. He was suspended. So that's taking money away from him. Come to find out, they when they did the investigation, they found out she was lying. He was able to brought back the people, and the thing of it is, the people that knew her on that shift was so disgusted with her. They made it so difficult for her. She had to leave. She eventually transferred to a new unit, and she eventually quit. So when people want me to believe all women for stuff like that, I can't do it. I can't do it because I've seen women lie, especially on the job. They lied, trying to get a man in trouble because either the relationship went bad, they had an argument, or something happened, and they just used this thing against men just to mess with them. And sometimes they don't get no repercussions. Sometimes they do. But to answer the question, yeah, I think a lot of this Me Too thing did ruin women's credibility because there was a bunch of women who was using it just to punish dudes because they felt like they didn't get what they wanted out of them, and that's a big problem. So it was, like I said, that's why I'm very leery of just straight up believing women. I need evidence. And this is not nothing against women. It's not that I hate women or nothing like that. It's just that I've seen cases of women lying, trying to ruin a man's career. Oh, I forgot another thing. Uh, one of my favorite supervisors, one of my favorite sergeants at the job, he was coming to work every day. One of the great sergeants, always respectful to us as officers. One day he just didn't show up for work, and nobody knew why. Like, why he didn't show up for work? Everybody calling, trying to figure it out. Turned out his wife, who also worked at the same unit, filed domestic charges against him. He was in jail for that. Come to find out, it wasn't true. He ended up getting fired because domestic, like I said, domestic violence charges, automatic termination, no questions asked. He ended up did getting his job back, but he had to go to another unit. Meanwhile, the woman, she stayed for a little bit, but she ended up leaving too. I don't know if she was fired, but it was just this. Like I said, these are the type of stories that come out where you have women who will use this against men, and we don't like to talk about it. That's why the credibility is bad right now. They were using it too much, and for silly shit. I mean, one of the silly things, like when that woman accused Jamie Foxx of putting her face in his dick, and I'm like, Jamie Foxx is not really that tall. Hey, how that means you have to be kneeling at his penis. It was so ridiculous. Nobody wanted to touch it. And that's when you're like, oh yeah, they went off the porch with this shit. And that's why I said that's when the credibility went down. That my believability of women it was tainted by a lot of the stuff at the job. So I don't really just believe women off the cuff. I'll listen. I'm not going to demean you. I'm not going to say, you're lying and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that. But I'm not just going to automatically believe women. I'm going to withhold judgment until I know. And that's how it should be. We shouldn't just jump to the defense of women. It has to be. We have to be patient. Like the thing I saw with Meg The Stallion and Tory Lanez, you had guys just jumping off the porch trying to defend Meg The Stallion. Oh, we need to beat up Tory Lanez. Now it's coming to find out that um, he didn't just point the gun and shoot at her foot. It's more or less either her and him were wrestling over the gun, or him. It was like some love triangle between Meg, her friend, and him, and either him and Meg was wrestling with the gun, or him or this girl was wrestling with the gun, and Meg got shot. So it's a lot of interesting stuff that's going on. That's why I was so quick not to jump off the porch, because women will lie. And in many cases, no repercussions. So it's one of those things you have to really be careful with, and protect your, for any guy at the job, protect yourself, because these these sexual harassment laws is crazy. I mean, even at my job, you this is how crazy it is. Anybody can. Let's just say me and another coworker is talking about a woman saying, "Man, she got a fat ass. Man, she got nice tits." The woman that we're not even talking about, this particular woman. That woman or a guy can do it too. Can go report to HR that we were sexually harassing them, and we weren't even talking about them, and we had to answer for that. That's how crazy these laws are. It's insane. And you wonder why the relationships, as far as at the job between men and women, is stale, and it's like they're on pins and needles because of stuff like this. Taking the fact, and I'm not saying that women haven't been harassed at the job. I'm not even saying that the women weren't forced to do sexual things with their bosses. But the problem is you take it too far to punish men, and then innocent men get caught up in it, and then ruin their careers, their lives, and there's no repercussions for the women. I want repercussions for the women. If they're lying, they should be punished. That's just how I feel about that. And I will never back down from that. Because not only does it take you punishing the wrong people, it takes away true justice. If some women were getting harassed at the job, one woman lying, and it makes it hard for the other woman to tell their story without being judged. This is what's happening now. These women are not automatically believed anymore. And it's getting back to the spot where men just don't believe women when they say stuff like this. Back in the past, they didn't believe it. They just, she's lying, or they don't give a fuck. And then it was a shift to where, yeah, okay, we'll start believing them. But then it took it too far to where now these women are lying on dudes and not facing any repercussions, now guys are like, we don't believe these women. You better have some evidence. If not, F off. And it's sad because that means it makes it harder for actual victims to come forward and be believed because the court of public opinion is, it could be a beast. And if they like you, they're going to defend you. But if they don't like you, oh, yeah, you about to get slaughtered. You know, so, and that's it. This ain't gonna be a long video. I am not. I try not to be long winded because I can go, and I just I just wanted to make my podcast on this topic. And at the end of the day, do I think that Me Too has hurt women's credibility? Yes. Do I think because there were women who was taking advantage of it just to punish men? Yeah. And, you know, that's where we are right now. You can't trust anybody at this point. When they say something, they accuse somebody of something, sexual harassment, otherwise, it's kind of hard to just jump on that bandwagon. It's always best to just sit back and wait. Look at the evidence. Hear both sides. Because if you don't, you're going to ruin someone's reputation, either take away their livelihood for a lie. So that is it for me. This is the Brother Speak podcast. Thank you very much for listening. And y'all have a good day. Good night. It's nighttime now. Or whenever y'all listening to it. I am going to go. There's some other content creators or having their podcast, and I want to listen, maybe even participate. So, y'all have a good one. Good night, good morning, good evening, whenever you're listening.